The prophecy foretold the arrival of a great and powerful calamity. Bearing the sin of avarice, it struck fear into the wallets of all consumers worldwide. This calamity came to be known as Gacha.
Okay, so obviously I'm riffing here, but let's be honest. When you hear the word gacha, you're either unfamiliar with the genre, indifferent and uninterested, or already hooked or detest it outright. One thing's for certain, gacha elicits a lot of negative reactions from a lot of people, and from a specific standpoint, I can definitely understand it. We live in a world that's completely different from the one we grew up in, regardless of which generation you actually belong to. A vast majority of us are infinitesimally minuscule in the grand scheme of life, and the development and evolution of the world so naturally the things we're accustomed to, and maybe even prefer, on a long enough timeline, will eventually shift and change with the introduction of new ideas and consumer tastes. Think about buying a video game in the 90s and 2000s. If there was a bug in that game, it shipped. It was permanent. There was no ship it now and fix it later, like we see from a lot of games in the modern era. Think about games in the early to mid 2010s. Loot boxes were prevalent forms of microtransactions in video games, and the more it became apparent that people would put serious money down to buy loot boxes, and the obvious fact that loot boxes were a lot more profitable than outright selling cosmetics, it was inevitable that the market would shift to capitalize on the opportunity presented. Think about it for a second. Battle passes, in-game microtransactions, free-to-play base games, patches, updates, expansions, DRM. Everything we know as commonplace in the modern gaming world has been a product of the evolution of technology and consumer spending practices. Gacha is no different. It's an evolution of the spending practices of consumers and a capitalization of a market niche. It's not a dirty word or really even a predatory market strategy. Okay, well, maybe it can be, but the question that truly lingers is if the juice is worth the squeeze, no? Gacha has its roots in the Japanese gachapon machines, which, if you've ever been to a restaurant or store, you've likely seen, even if you're in the US. You put a coin in, usually a quarter or a few quarters, turn the knob, and out pops a little trinket or toy. No control over what you get, just a gamble of sorts. That same effect in larger virtual practice scale is what defines a gacha game. Konami was actually the first company to really figure this out when they launched Dragon Collection in 2010, and the idea took off since. The reputation of gacha games became cemented as virtual gambling, and due to its mobile platform nature, it gained the connotation of being exploitative cash dump games that target whales and people with low self-control. So, basically me. All kidding aside, that reputation carried with gacha games like a stigma for the uninitiated all the way through the modern era, despite the fact that gacha as a genre has only managed to evolve since its inception. Honkai Third Impact is largely a major contributor to what we now have as the modern era of gacha, as it propelled the space into the 3D era with a deep, engaging story and a variety of gameplay mechanics, and essentially acted as a blueprint for Hoyo versus, then MiHoYo, later staple in the gacha space, Genshin Impact. But as the games in the space have evolved, public perception around them hasn't really shifted in a major way just yet. The tides are certainly starting to turn, but all too often I still hear the same type of statements. Oh, it's a gacha? Nah, I'm good. Or, mobile games are crap. Stuff to that effect. For the longest time, I, personally, was someone who agreed with those statements. The only gacha I ever played before recently was Honkai Third Impact, Mega Man X Dive, and Genshin Impact. I was too worried about the monetization structure to really invest into the genre at all. As an avid Mega Man X fan, Dive was a no-brainer for me. In fact, I didn't even consider it a gacha game until I reflected on its core mechanics and monetization structure in retrospect after the game shut down. Honkai Third Impact was something I picked up because of the crossover they did with Evangelion, one of my favorite anime. I wanted to grab Asuka and the Spear of Longinus in that game, so I tried it out. I didn't stick though, and I ended up forgetting about it after the event, mostly due to school and all these other obligations I had. Genshin was... I tried it because it was on the PS5, but it was a really slow start, and it actually made me drop it, only picking it up every now and then occasionally. I held the same belief as a lot of my friends do. Mobile games are nowhere near the parity of console and PC games in terms of quality. But now, after having experienced them firsthand, I can clearly say that I was completely wrong. MiHoYo was onto something when they took a gamble on the future of mobile gaming at a time when phones were nowhere near as powerful as they are now. And their gamble, in the long run, paid off and helped shape a minor niche genre of gaming into one of the largest revenue drivers in all of modern gaming. There's something addicting and magical about managing to pull that character you've been shooting for. There's an almost out of sight, out of mind effect when you're cashing 10 pulls where your brain doesn't register the translation from real money to game currency. But it's overwritten when you manage to hit that 0.8% chance of pulling early off of 10 to 30 pulls on a hard 90 pity and finally getting that character you want. It's intoxicating. And that's gambling in a nutshell. But what if the casino just gave you money for walking in and playing their games, and allowed you to keep your winnings with no questions asked? Because, to be honest, that's what gacha games do. With the exception of a few outliers, shall we say, most modern gacha games use free currency and draws to entice players to spend on additional currency to secure the characters or items they're wanting. Some are more rewarding than others, but by and large, the formula tends to be weapons and characters are drawn for, with anywhere from a handful to a full stack. In Honkai Star Rail, for example, a turn-based 4-person squad-based RPG gacha, players can generally expect to earn between 90 and 120 pulls per patch through gameplay and various events. Wuthering Waves, an open third-world 3-person squad-based RPG, offers players around 100 pulls worth of currency per patch through gameplay and events. In general, both of the aforementioned games have gacha systems that utilize a soft and hard pity as well as a 50-50 system on banner character draws. All of this to say the stigma against gachas, while still somewhat accurate, is far from the absolute truth that it once was. Gacha games are a lot higher spec than mobile games used to be, and thanks to the adoption of consumer-friendly practices, the games have become a lot more free-to-play user-friendly. Well, except Dragon Ball Legends anyways. Games like Wuthering Waves, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero, Arknights, and Punishing Grey Raven have raised the bar in terms of their gameplay, story offerings, character rosters. Everything has really evolved far beyond the realm of what one could consider a quote-unquote mobile game. In fact, the parity between console or traditional platform games and mobile games grows thinner and thinner by the day. Wuthering Waves is currently available on mobile platforms, PC and PS5. Genshin Impact is available on mobile platforms, PS4, PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Zenless Zone Zero is available on mobile, PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S. Not only are these games available on these platforms, but the performance difference between them on each platform is completely minuscule. Having been developed to work on mobile devices where a large variety of specs and equipment can be present, the games were aimed to be extremely well optimized and efficient. It's a fact that it actually passed under my purview until something drugged me into the gacha scene. Destiny Rising. Having been an avid Destiny player for over 10 years, I found myself having a cooling off period with Bungie due to disagreements on their handling of the franchise. But having played Destiny as a main game for such a long period of time with only small breaks occasionally, and being massively addicted to the feeling of the gameplay, I searched constantly for something to fill that role. Splitgate, Call of Duty, Apex Legends. I tried game after game, but found none of them nearly as good feeling as Destiny 2. It was a complicated place to find myself in, not finding any other first-person shooters satisfying, but not enjoying the direction and changes being made to Destiny 2. There was no answer. Then, NetEase announced Destiny Rising. Destiny Rising would be a mobile entry into the franchise, and I remember thinking, oh great, it's a mobile game. In fact, a lot of people I personally know had and still have that same impression. Many in my Destiny 2 clan were already writing the game off before we had even seen actual gameplay footage or tested it. Even still, I decided to apply for the alpha test on iOS. I expected a watered-down Destiny cash grab, and what I got instead was a game that made me reevaluate my opinion on both mobile games and gachas. After the conclusion of the alpha, I switched back to Destiny 2, but the Destiny Rising alpha had that magic Destiny feeling. Gameplay? Check. Mechanics? Check. Gunplay? Check. I was playing a full Destiny experience in the palm of my hand. A completely new Destiny game, devoid of all of Bungie's bad habits. The alpha excluded microtransactions and instead offered a lot of free rewards to test the gacha systems. Progress was reset after the alpha, and some changes were made. When the beta launched on Android-only platforms, I sadly was not invited to participate. But, as luck would have it, by sheer chance, an error on the Google Play Store or NetEase side ended up resulting in the closed beta becoming a open beta for a little bit of time. When the news dropped, I was on my way to the gym and immediately pulled a U-turn and returned home to download the beta. What followed was a pure addiction. I played Destiny Rising almost every day of the beta for an average of 8 to 10 hours a day. I pulled every character, unlocked every non-exotic weapon, and tried maxing out every single level I could. I beat the brakes off of it and beat it up until the day it closed. And when it ended, I found myself wanting more. I felt something for Destiny Rising that I hadn't felt for a game since the original Destiny. When the beta ended, I had enjoyed my experience so much that I was willing to completely reconsider the previous notions I'd chosen to implement. My opinion of gacha games as well as mobile games had favorably changed and shifted, so I was willing to try something new with the right opportunity. That opportunity came in the form of a crossover announcement, Honkai Star Rail and Fate Stay Night to be exact. I decided I was going to get Saber, and I downloaded HSR planning to play a little here and there until I could pull for Saber and see how it goes. And instead of fulfilling that plan, I actually ended up playing the game religiously for weeks. Starting from nothing and keeping a free-to-play account most of the way through until Saber dropped, I played every story mission, every side mission up until after the CN show, and just generally lived and breathed the game. From there, at Virus's suggestion, I downloaded and tried Wuthering Waves and found the quality to be insanely impressive. I gave Genshin a second look and began playing it again. I even downloaded Zenless Zone Zero on Xbox and tried it out as well. I found that the prejudice and the preconceived notions I had about gachas and mobile games in general were completely wrong in the modern era. I've played a lot of games, but exempting some select outliers I've been playing for, a long time, like Warframe, no Western game has managed to captivate my attention the way that these gacha games have. The writing, attention to detail, freedom, character design, the appeal is all 100% there for me. So what was the point of this whole tale? This long diatribe is actually just my way of encouraging anyone who's willing to listen, who may have preconceived notions about mobile games or gachas, to give them a chance again before ruling them out. There are a lot of us former Destiny players out there who are disenfranchised by Destiny and Bungie's direction, and I say to you, there is a legitimate option here. You don't have to put money into a gacha for it to be good. Many people I know are free-to-pay or low-pay Dolphin players. You're not going to get every single weapon and every single character, and that's okay. That's the difference between a regular game and a gacha. Gacha games are about choices, using limited resources to achieve desired outcomes. Despite this, I recommend Destiny Rising, Wuthering Waves, and Zenless Zone Zero to anyone, as these are particular games that are extremely free-to-play friendly, lowish on power creep, and present great gameplay with solid writing and fantastic character design. Sorry for the rant, I just wanted to make a video to hopefully appeal to anyone still on the fence on whether to give mobile and gacha games a try. For those considering trying out Destiny Rising, it has full controller support as well as mouse and keyboard support, and can be played on PC using either BlueStacks or Moomoo Player. I myself use Moomoo Player to run the game, and the performance is fantastic. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did and want to see more videos like this one in the future, feel free to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications when I upload. My goal is to upload 2 to 3 videos a week, and once Destiny Rising releases on August 28th, I'm hoping to put out build guides, how-tos, and more pertaining to that game in specific, so if that's something that interests you, feel free to stick around. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.